Is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. Appreciate you guys all joining us today, wherever you're watching, coming at you live every day, every weekday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Here with Jon Impemba today. What's up, John? We got some big news in multiple fronts today, some impacting our betting picks for tonight. But how you doing, man? Appreciate you joining me as always on Tuesdays.
Listen, it's been a wild day of breaking news. Not only do you have the long-awaited call-up of Elly De La Cruz, but you also let off this morning with the Live PGA Tour merger news. So basically from the get-go, it's been an action-packed day here. Elly hitting fourth tonight, just right immediately into the middle of their lineup here. And that's going to be, you know, the big story of the night is watching what does Elly De La Cruz come up here and do. Top 5 prospect in all of baseball, just absolutely mashing at the AAA level here. And the Reds, you know, bottom dwelling basically, you know, why wait, right? Bring some excitement to your team. And sometimes it takes a player like this to really turn your season around. So if he comes out and ends up being that star prospect that people think he can be, maybe the Reds start to be competitive in the second half of this year. But for tonight, it's going to be pretty interesting to see which way people go with the betting props.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be a popular play in DFS circles when you and James Grande break down the DFS slate.
Min price $2,000 on DraftKings tonight.
I noticed that. I mean, yeah, he's going to be kind of a free square, right? I mean, if you don't play him,
hitting fourth for. I mean,
yeah, hitting fourth. You know, tougher matchup against Gonsolin. Just to tease, I am fading him with a pick later today on the show, so maybe not as tough as people think, but. Yeah, I mean, hitting fourth for the Reds, you know, he's been hitting 298 at AAA. Obviously, it is AAA, but the guy we've just been waiting for him to get the call up. Was really good last year for the Reds in the minors. So, I mean, yeah, so for betting wise on this, you can go, you know, he's plus 400 on DraftKings to hit a homer. You can go that route. You know, great American ballpark here. You know, Gonsolin could allow a homer or two in this outing. But we both like a different route. You know, I like his total bases, and you and I both like his hits, runs, RBIs. Why not? Just take a shot on him in his MLB debut. He could go yard, but he could also have a couple hits here.
Yeah, lightning in a bottle really is all I'm really looking at for this. Listen, we spoke right before we went live here. It is not a good matchup for the Reds tonight. I know you mentioned you're fading Gonsolin, but if you just look at all of Gonsolin's numbers, surface level here, nobody is hitting him. Lefties are hitting 111, righties are hitting 190 off Tony Gonsolin. He's not allowing a lot of runs. He was really good last year as well, so it's not like this is really an aberration. But sometimes when you get just such a stud prospect like Elly De La Cruz, like that doesn't matter. He's sitting on a fastball. He gets that fastball. He puts it in the stands. There you go. And as I mentioned before, sometimes a player like this just changes the lineup. Like you know, I imagine the Reds today, those guys, Jonathan India, Spencer Steer, Fraley, Friedel, like that, Stevenson, that whole team is like, oh, we have Elly De La Cruz now hitting cleanup in our lineup. Like that changes. That's going to bring some energy to that room here tonight. We'll see if that stuff translates. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. But if it does, Elly's going to be in a great spot on the 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs could cash that in the first inning. You have India lead off with a double. Elly drives them in with a single. Boom, there you go. You're already over 2. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. I feel like this one's going to cash early.
Yeah, I like it too. And yeah, just looking at his minor league stats this year, I mentioned 298 average, but he had 12 homers and 36 extra base hits in 38 games at AAA level. So yeah, I like him. Yeah, you know, I could see him getting an extra base hit for sure tonight. But yeah, the lineup is interesting too for the Reds. You mentioned it. I mean, Fraley is a lefty, but besides De La Cruz in the lineup, who's a switch hitter, so probably hitting lefty against the right-handed pitching Gonsolin, but the rest of the Reds lineup is righties. So, an interesting spot for them to slot him in immediately in the 4-hole there. And by the way, with the Reds, so last night on the show, I gave out Andrew Abbott's strikeouts prop and went over on the 5.5. He barely got there at 6, so it hit. But he was a guy, a lot of these prospects, I like just, going with their over, because the sports books will maybe put the props a little bit lower. It's about even odds for him to go over the hits, runs, RBIs. But this total bases at plus 120 on DraftKings right now. I mean, they don't want to really juice it up because he's brand new here, but maybe if people are betting it, the odds will be going down as we get to that first pitch here.
I think the public will just bet on intrigue, right? They just like, if the kid goes yard in his debut, like, I want the plus 400 ticket, there'll be money put on Elly De La Cruz here tonight for sure, for better or for worse.
Yeah, so we'll see if he is one of our home run calls later in the show, our daily dingers that we'll give out as we wrap up today's show. But we got tons of MLB picks. And by the way, you mentioned the Live Golf PGA merger. That is the other big headline today. And you have an article up on Fantasy Alarm right now, just kind of breaking down some of the specifics and just the general news of it and impact for whether you're playing PGA DFS or betting on golf. So go check that out. It's up on the site. And also
the third major is next week, US Open. Los Angeles Country Club there. Brooks Koepka nearly won the Masters, then took down the PGA Championship. Guy is rolling in majors. He's Mr. Major. He's got 5 major wins now. It's plus 1,200 over on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. So, pretty interesting news swing. They got the RBC Canadian Open this week, and then they got the US Open next week. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, and Drew Phelps has a breakdown of the preview of the RBC Canadian Open for this week up on Fantasy Alarm right now, and that's for free right now. So go check that out before he gets his DFS playbooks in for later this week to break down some of the DFS plays.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, tomorrow morning it'll be up there. By the way, the Elly De La Cruz article up on Fantasy Alarm is also free. So check that out too. Justin Vreeland kind of breaks down some of his stats, his odds for Rookie of the Year, if you want to take a shot on that. Some interesting
4th best odds for Rookie of the Year. Guy
right?
gets called up and immediately thrown up there. Plus 1,000 though. Like there's still some, like that's a pretty good bet you can place there if he comes up here and is what he is. And you have to at least love the home ballpark for him, right? Like there could be some real power numbers for him if he, the way just simply from playing in the Great American Small Park there.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, we got Matt Deutsch commenting here saying the Elly hits, runs, RBIs over 1.5 at minus 135. So it's already moving in the direction to the over there from what I saw when it first went live there at DraftKings. But his total bases are definitely something you could look at on any sports book, FanDuel, BetMGM if you're playing on there, because they don't have the hits, runs, RBIs there. But yeah, we love that prop, and you can go with his total bases too. But yeah, check out the article up on Fantasy Alarm right now. Justin Vreeland breaks that down and helps you get some bets in for Elly De La Cruz, because why not? We all love the new thing. Let's get to some of our best bets for tonight besides Elly De La Cruz, or maybe he's involved here. I'll let you go first here. What is your top pick for today's slate?
Yeah, listen, it's one that's probably, if you look at just the numbers on the surface level, you're probably not a fan of it. But I'm going Freddie Peralta over the 5.5 strikeouts here. This is a guy that has historically profiled as an elite strikeout pitcher. He's been a little bit wild this year. He's had some pretty tough matchups, but he's also very good at home. And this is kind of where I'm kind of keying in on him tonight, is not only just the home matchup, but he's going up against a Baltimore Orioles team that is largely much better against lefties than righties here. And since you've taken Cedric Mullins out of that lineup, it just makes them that much worse against righties. If you go look over the last 2 weeks against right-handed pitching for Baltimore, they were one of the worst teams in baseball. They ranked 22nd in weighted on-base percentage. They hit for almost no power. They are ranked 21st in ISO against right-handed pitching, but a 22% strikeout rate. So 5.5 strikeouts. I think this is a game where Peralta can get a little bit deeper. He's gone over 17.5 outs in things like 3 of the last 5, and those have come against some pretty tough teams. Now he's back home against a weaker opponent in Baltimore, given that lineup construction here, and I think Peralta goes over the 5.5 strikeouts.
I like that. Yeah. The Orioles offense without Mullins, as you mentioned, and also without Gunnar Henderson, right? I mean, just an offense that's not as dangerous right now as maybe they have been in the previous. So, yeah, I'll back that with you. My best bet is Dodgers Reds over 10.5. And I swear I had this locked in before the Elly De La Cruz news, but that even kind of adds some more intrigue here that the Reds offense probably gets a boost. So I'll take it. But I like this pick before this news came in. You know, the Dodgers are facing Luke Weaver here for the Reds, who's not great. 5.36 ERA this year. And over his career at Great American Ballpark, which obviously a hitter's park, he's got a 5.17 ERA. So not really a home advantage here for him. And the Dodgers offense, a top 5 offense against righties this season, 339 WOBA and a 357 WOBA over the past week against right-handed pitching. So this is a dangerous offense against righties. I think Weaver's going to have trouble here. And I mentioned earlier
by righties too, almost a 600 slugging percentage allowed against right-handed hitters. JD Martinez, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a play to watch. We'll talk about that one a little bit.
Yeah, the little tease. Tune in, keep tuning in to later in the show because I know John's high on JD Martinez tonight. So, but on the other side, I mentioned earlier, you know, the Gonsolin regression could be coming. I think he's one of those prime candidates. You know, he's got great stats on the surface. You know, 1.77 ERA, great splits against righties and lefties, but his 4.83 expected ERA and his 4.60 FIP this year are like incredibly higher than his ERA. It's just something I can't ignore. And he's got a 1.55 BABIP, which just tells me that there's some negative regression coming. His strikeout and walk rates are both way down from last year too, when he had a great season for the Dodgers. So something's up here with his his overall stats. He's survived his outings. Right. He's done well so far, but this matchup here, even though the Reds offense isn't, they're about league average against righties and just maybe below average overall this year. But I think that the De La Cruz call up is definitely going to boost them. But just in general, at Great American Ballpark, I don't think Gonsolin's going to have as much success here. So I think both sides kind of put it together. I like the over. It's 10.5. It's very, very high total, but I still like the over here. And a quick stat for both teams: the Reds have been over the total in 9 of their last 14 games, and the Dodgers over in 12 of the last 17 games. So both these trends, both these teams among the top teams overall this season to hit the over, if you look at those trends, but lately just it's still reigning true. So fading Gonsolin here and another bet on Elly De La Cruz here tonight.
Yeah, no, again, I don't mind it. And those underlying numbers, like you mentioned, are pretty gross for Gonsolin. They do kind of protect him a little bit. They don't generally let him go too deep into games. They pulled him at 70 pitches last time out against Washington. He's only gone over 6 innings 3 times this year. So, I wonder if that plays a little bit into those numbers too, where they just get him out because they know like if he goes any deeper, trouble could be coming. The strikeout numbers what's shocking to me. A 6.3 K per 9 after being over 8 the previous year, and then over 10 the year before that. So, yeah, big drop in the strikeouts there for him.
Yeah, and another note on that one is if he does get out early and they put some relievers in, both the Reds and the Dodgers bullpens are among the league's worst, like bottom 5 over the past week. So both these pens just kind of struggling right now too. So even if we get a solid Gonsolin outing, but he only goes 5 or maybe into the 6th inning, but I still think their relief pitching can give up some runs here. So I'll grab the over there. By the way, go check out Josh Wagner has the best bets betting picks over at Fantasy Alarm right now. If you wanted some more, and we none of them are really overlapping with ours, I don't think. So we're all kind of all over the place, but we could all be hitting tonight. So definitely go check out Wags' article up on Fantasy Alarm. And as always, you can use the promo code ALARM50 to get free trial and first 6 months, 50% off your first 6 months for the all-pro package at Fantasy Alarm to get Wags' articles for the best bets and how usually it's Howard on there, but all the DFS playbooks and our DFS tools for MLB right now, but coming up for plenty of other sports, PGA, as we were talking about earlier, if you want that playbook by Drew Phelps tomorrow. You can definitely get it on that. So Alarm50 is the promo code there. By the way, I wanted to just kind of switch gears here because I know we got you, an NBA guy, on for not for tomorrow's show. We will have likely Fensty will be coming on to talk some NBA Finals Game 3. But I wanted to get your take on this for Game 3, kind of your reactions to the first two games. Are the Heat for real here? Are the Heat really going to do this? Are they worth backing on the money line for Game 3? And even, the series price, they're still pretty big underdogs. But Game 3, that's about 2.5 is the spread. And in Denver is about minus 140 on the money line. I mean, what's your feel for the series?
Listen, it took a ridiculous fourth quarter for Miami to beat a Denver team that was largely off their game in Game 2, which was unfortunate to see them struggle that way. But in the fourth quarter, Miami shot 70% from the floor. So, they got like white hot. Max Struss started the game hot. Duncan Robinson was out there finishing shots. I mean, that was the frustrating thing as a Celtics fan. We were just watching these secondary third, and third guys be the ones that do the damage. It wasn't Jimmy Butler. It wasn't Bam. It was, the wings out there just knocking down shots and just not missing, right? That was the biggest. They just weren't missing.
Yeah.
Is Miami going to shoot 70% again in a quarter? I guess they could. They're going to go home. They'll have the juice behind them. But again, Denver was not playing well, and they were winning that game. So, to me, it just kind of shows the talent level here that, on Denver's worst day, Miami has to have their best day to win a game barely. So I don't know. I don't think this one goes much more than 5, but now the odds are better to bet it for 6, right? When we opened the series, the sweep was like plus 400, and 5 was like plus 200, but then 6 was like 420 or something like that. So at this point, like, why not bet 6, assume Miami gets 1 at home, I guess, and finish it out there.
Yeah, and Denver is minus 1.5 spread here for the series spread. That's plus 115 on DraftKings. Mm-hmm. So if you still think they can get this done in 6, when they're covering that 1.5 spread, that's really interesting juice there. And if you think they get it done in 5, you can even bet that for minus 2.5 game spread at plus 320 on DraftKings. So, yeah, I mean, they could easily bounce back. And it's interesting to see that spread. 2.5 is the point spread for Game 3. I feel like they're just begging people to bet Miami here to just they're underdogs again, the disrespect. But still, Denver's clearly the better team, as you're saying. And the one worry for me is Jimmy Butler. Not his strength, not at his top of his game. I think it's the ankle issue, right? That's still bothering him.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, he definitely has been a little bit hobbled. He's come through still defensively fairly well at times, and he's hit some clutch shots for them, like when they need him to. But he's been playing much more. He's been playing much more sort of a facilitator role in this offense, and it's helped because they've had those other guys just knocking down shots. Gabe Vincent, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Max Struss, Caleb Martin. Like they're just coming off the bench and just scoring. So, if it comes down to a point where those guys do go cold, and Tyler Hero, I think they said could be back either for this game or the next game. So, that's going to only help them a little bit too, adding some depth to that lineup. So, may not need to lean so much on Butler, but at some point, if they're going to honestly win the title, Butler's going to have a big game in this series.
Yeah, he hasn't had one of those yet, and hasn't had it for some time, even in the Celtics series. I mean, I
think Game 2 maybe, or Game 3 in Boston was when he had that huge game. But other than that, it really wasn't much.
As you said, they're very much relying on these role guys: Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, and
Caleb Martin shot 60% from the floor and 50% from 3 against the Celtics. You explain it. I can't explain the role play. The role player all season long.
And Caleb Martin became like the next, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So, and then they did it again. And then, I live in Boston, obviously, so a lot of Celtics Twitter watching that game was like, yeah, welcome to our hell here, Denver. Well, we're watching, Duncan Robinson and Max Struss just draining threes on you. So,
yeah, so we'll see tomorrow. And by the way, we'll have an NBA DFS playbook as always, a showdown playbook for that one. So definitely check that out.
James Grande will be on the book.
Yeah, James Grande is killing the NBA Finals already, and yeah, we'll be talking some player props and all that on tomorrow's show. So definitely tune in there. But also tonight on the Howard Bender will be on the show with me tomorrow. But tonight on his Fantasy Alarm show on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, him and Jim Bowden have fantasy football legend, NFL legend Torrey Holt on the show tonight. That's 7:00 Eastern. Tune into that. Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, Channel 87. And for a free 3-month trial, go to SiriusXM.us/fantasy alarm 2023 to get that free trial. But yeah, definitely check that out. Torrey Holt on the show with Howard and Jim tonight. So definitely listen to that. Let's get to some more MLB picks, our MLB betting picks outside of Elly De La Cruz. We swear we're going in a different direction here, but let's get to you. What's another one you got tonight?
Yeah, I like Joe Musgrove over 17.5 outs. It's not like the most favorable betting odds for you. It's at -160, so you're going to have to either bet a lot to make some, or you're going to have to find a parlay, or maybe use an odds boost. DraftKings or FanDuel sometimes throw you some odd boost there, but he's been rolling. He's a much better pitcher than we've seen at how he started the year, and now he's going up against Seattle, an offense that at times has pots, but has largely been down this year. So I'm looking at Musgrove here over the 17.5 outs.
Nice. And yeah, you mentioned the juice there. I love using outs props in parlays, as you said, because you can go with another one if you really like it, but it's juiced to like -185 or something. You just kind of parlay them together and it's pretty good. So yeah, the 17.5 is a nice number there to get to six innings, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's how I'm looking at it, right?
Yeah. Another play I'll give out here. I like the Pittsburgh Pirates on the run line, -1.5. They're big favorites here against the A's for sure. But I like the run line. I think they'll win. Last night they won in walk-off fashion, so they did not cover the run line. But I think they get back there here against the A's. Mitch Keller versus James Caprillion is the matchup here. So obviously a big mismatch. Keller just having an all-star season this year and strong numbers at home, 2.18 ERA over 5 home starts this year. And his 2.85 FIP is really solid for him. So I think some good outings are still coming here for him. So I like that. And the Athletics are a league worst 277 WOBA against right-handed pitching this season. Yeah. And the Athletics against righties the last week, even worse, 230 WOBA and a 177 batting average. So this is a matchup Keller should have a ton of advantage here in success. And then Caprillion, 8.12 ERA this season. He's had some decent outings lately since coming back, but
he hit the Astros on one of the games that I full stacked Houston. I'm like, what are we doing?
I'm not buying into it
here, right?
Not buying into it. I just, he's struggling on the road this year too. So, and the Pirates smashing right-handed pitching lately with a 369 WOBA over the last 2 weeks and a 375 WOBA over the last week. So this matchup is one they can really, at home, they can really light up Caprillion. And then when he's out of the game, Oakland's got one of the worst bullpens in the league. So I'm not really worried about that. I think, this two-run lead at least can hold firm for the Pirates. Yeah. So I like that. And then just to add on there, I like Mitch Keller's strikeouts. It's up to 7.5 now, but I did get it at 6.5 earlier. So if you could find that somewhere, it was on DraftKings, but if you could find that on BetMGM, FanDuel, I'm not sure where it is right now. But his 6.5 line, he's been over that in 10 of 12 starts this year and in 7 straight starts with at least 8 Ks in each of those too. So, even I like the over 7.5 too, because he's been on a roll here. And the Athletics I mentioned, terrible against right-handed pitching, but their strikeout rate against righties 26%, which is just behind Minnesota for the league's worst against righties. And same thing over the last 2 weeks, just really bad against right-handed pitching. So going back in Keller in multiple ways here.
Yeah, I like that. I know he's been roughed up a little bit over his last couple starts here, but just an easing right back into a good matchup for him tonight. So I'm with you there. My next play is Anthony Rizzo over the 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs on DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get that at +110. I know Rizzo has been a little bit struggling, but if you look at his home road splits this year, the man is absolutely at Yankee Stadium. And that's kind of where I'm looking for here. He's at Yankee Stadium. He's hitting .391 with a .522 slug. at home this year. Or sorry, he's hitting 362 with a 612 slug. Read the wrong line. 362 with a 612 slug at home this year. So just absolutely mauling pitchers at home this season. And Lucas Giolito against left-handed hitters, almost a 500 slug and a 352 WOBA allowed. So you're going to get Anthony Rizzo in that Yankees lineup in Yankee Stadium against a Giolito pitcher who's struggling against lefties. And I'm going to go over the 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs here for Anthony Rizzo.
Nice. I got to throw a little devil's advocate comment at you because I always look at BVP numbers, right? And you never want to like take it as, you know, the truth, like the dead on truth. He's 0 for 11 against Giolito in his career.
Small sample size, you know. Those probably played each other when he was on the Cubs and Giolito was in the White Sox. And he played those, you know, White Sox Cubs rivalry series here. He's in Yankee Stadium now. It's a whole new year. They can't shift on him anymore. You know, who knows? You know, there's different things. But I agree with you. James Grandi and I talk about BVP all the time. Unless it's somebody that has like an 80 at bat sample, which even still in the scale of things is small. You know, we don't really take too much of a grain into there. It was Paul Goldschmidt, I think, against Madison Bumgarner is like the historic BVP where he had like 8 home runs in his first like 12 at bats off him or something absurd there. But unless it's something like that, I'm usually not in a BVP guy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. By the way, I was shortchanging him. It's 0 for 6 with 4 walks.
So he can feel better about it now.
He could draw a couple walks and score.
Judge home runs right after or something like that. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, you mentioned the BVP and like if you just look at that, any page you look at, Eddie Rosario against Carlos Carrasco is the lead, the top guy this year with a huge sample size. But again, both these guys have been around for a while, so it's you know it's a little different now. But kind of like those Goldie versus Bumgarner.
Like teammates for a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's your next one?
Yeah, my next one. I'm going with the Giants team total over 1.5. In the first 3 innings. I'm leaving it. I was kind of shopping around. I don't like their full game team total or even their first 5 innings, but on DraftKings, you can go with their first 3 innings team total. I love this 1.5. This is just way too low. Dinelson Lamet here for the Rockies. Been terrible. He just came off the IL last start against the Diamondbacks and got crushed. Gave up 3 runs in the first inning and then 2 in the second. 13-17 ERA this year and a 241 whip. Most of it was as a reliever, but he's now in the rotation, and I don't know how much he's going to last in that Rockies rotation. But I am just limiting this early in the game. I just think the Giants are going to get a few runs early against this matchup in Coors. As I did not mention that yet, but obviously that gives a boost to the Giants. But right-handed pitching against the Giants are a top 5 offense in this split. A 330 WOBA this year, and even better over the last week against righties at a 345 WOBA. So, yeah, I'm liking the team total over the first 3 innings. You could look at the first 5, too. Kind of staying away from the full game just because I could see the bullpen kind of coming in, limiting the Giants late. But just kind of limiting this matchup, too, against Dinelson Lamet. I just think they're going to hammer him here.
Yeah, I like that. Again, one of the more popular DFS stacks tonight is going to be the Giants. Yeah. That lineup, I think, is getting a little bit healthier. As well. I don't know if the official lineup is out, but they had made some roster moves today, kind of making you think Conforto or Yastrzemski is going to be in the lineup here tonight. So, yeah, I like the Giants a lot in Coors. My last play tonight is Jake McCarthy stolen bases. It's over a half again at plus 170. If you got a boost option for it, you can certainly boost this. Since he's been recalled, he's appeared in 9 games and has 8 stolen bases. He's got 3 games with 2 stolen bases. He had a 3-game stretch where he had 5 stolen bases. This is a guy that when he gets on base, he's looking to run. So why not almost get 2-1 on a stolen base for a guy that is, if he didn't get sent down because of his early season struggles, he might be right up there with Astory Ruiz in terms of like leading in stolen bases. So give me Jake McCarthy over the half stolen base.
I love this play. I mean, this is one I think you gave out maybe a couple weeks ago when he first came back, and then last week I gave it out too, and it cashed. And it's one of those plays where I don't always give it out on this show, but you can honestly go back to it because the chances are he's going to steal a base.
I said we're losing money every night we don't bet Astory Ruiz stolen bases. I think was what the quote was, and I still stand by that. He stole another bag last night for 29 on the year. But at this point, yeah, like if the A's and Diamondbacks are on the slate, bet Ruiz and bet Jake McCarthy stolen bases. More often than not, they're probably going to end up with a stolen base. That, one of those two will probably steal a bag on the night. So
Yeah,
I'm going to check what a story is here for a stolen base tonight. Quickly there.
As you check, both those guys have been in the value plays articles like frequently over the past couple of weeks because they've been stealing bags and just kind of cheap DFS plays, right? So
getting smart. Plus 105 on the Ruiz stolen basis. I mean, how often does a guy almost even money to steal a bag?
That is crazy.
That's where we're at with a story Ruiz now.
That is crazy. I don't have the numbers on Keller. I mean, I just backed him for strikeouts and to hold some runs in, but Ruiz gets on, he's going to be running. So if he draws a walk or something, he could be running. But yeah, the value plays article, by the way, go check that out too. It's on Fantasy Alarm right now. And as is the MLB DFS playbook is up for tonight's slate. If you want to get some more DFS help there before John and James come on at 5:00 Eastern.
Keller's allowed 7 stolen bases. That is tied for 13th most in the National League. So
interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
So that could be a play that you
could be a play. Noah Syndergaard's allowed 16 stolen bases. That's the most in baseball.
Yes, he's a guy. Every time he's on the mound, it's like, all right, who's coming up right now. So I don't know when his next start is, but maybe if it's against the Reds, maybe we get some
or the Reds, the Diamondbacks, like anybody. If Noah Syndergaard's on base, find out who steals on the mound. Find out who's stealing against them.
Right. I'll go with another couple plays here for the Rangers. First is the Rangers' first 5 on the run line, minus a half a run there, minus 110 on DraftKings is that. But I like this first 5 bet. It's Dane Dunning on the mound for Texas here. Been really good as a starter. 2.28 ERA over 5 starts since moving from the bullpen to the
insane ground ball rate for him. That's the key to his success this year.
And his cutter has been like a pitch. He's kind of really improved and started to throw a lot more. I looked since last year, and it's really made all his pitches better. But yeah, the cutter specifically has been getting a lot of ground balls, ground ball out. So yeah, keeping the ball on the ground, I like that. But his FIP is at 282, which is another thing I love here. And the Cardinals, a bottom tier offense against righties over the past 2 weeks with a sub 300 WOBA and just a 215 batting average against righties in that span. So I like that matchup for Dunning. And then the other side, it's Matthew Liberatore against the Rangers here. And we know the Rangers offense has been red hot over the past month, over the past couple of weeks. One of the best, arguably the best in baseball. A league high 375 WOBA at home this year. And a 363 WOBA against lefties this season, the top 5 offense in all those splits. So this matchup against Liberatore, who's gave up 4 runs on the road to Cleveland last time out, and the Guardians are very much a worse offense than the Rangers. So if he's giving up 4 runs to the Cleveland offense, then I think the Rangers are going to do some damage. So kind of keeping the bullpens out of this on both sides and just going with the Rangers' first 5 on the run line. And then in tandem with that, a play I kind of threw out on the MLB underdog picks over at Fantasy Alarm. If you want to check out some more expanded thoughts, but this is also a pick that you rolled with yesterday in the Prize Picks video, and a play I'm just rolling with here today is Corey Seager over his total bases. You can even look at his hits, runs, RBIs, but I like his total bases over 1.5. The dude has been on fire. I broke down a lot of his stats as you did yesterday, but I broke that down in the underdog article too, but I'm just kind of adding him here as I like the Rangers offense against Liberatore here.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Josh Jung's been a lefty killer this year as well. If you're just looking to throw more guys out there, and again, limited sample size for Liberatore, so a lot of the numbers aren't great. But Josh Jung, large sample size of hitting for big time power, could certainly come through here tonight. I like that.
Seager's interesting because he's hitting like 360 against lefties as a lefty hitter.
Yeah. The one thing about this lineup against lefties is for the beginning part of this year, guys like Simeon and Adolis actually were struggling against left-handed pitching, but that's flipped. Simeon's now hitting over 300. Adolis' average is on the way up. So top to bottom, that lineup is just killing it. You have both catchers now in their lineup. Garver DHs and Heim catches, and Ezekiel Duran is back. Leodis Taveras is hitting 300 from both sides of the plate. Like, they have a very good up and down lineup in that team.
Yeah. I assume the Rangers are going to be a popular DFS stack, right? Tonight again.
Tonight they may go a little bit overlooked because you have cores on the slate that people are going to be picking on here, and then you have the Dodgers going up against Weaver. So could see the Rangers go a bit under roster tonight.
Okay. Little tease for the 5:00 Eastern MLB DFS live show with John and James Grande coming up after us. So definitely tune in for that one. A full hour of lineup building with those guys.
Yeah.
Before we get to some MLB home run calls, our daily dingers, I just want to say that get the Bettor Sports Network newsletter emailed to you every day, including our daily Better Bet, exclusive offers, program alerts, special events, and top moments. Register for free right now at bettersports.com so you can get some bets going in the morning when that newsletter is emailed out to you. Let's get to our daily dinger home run calls. Who are you calling to go deep tonight?
Yeah, maybe an obvious one, but JD Martinez has just been an absolute monster. You're getting him at plus 280 here tonight. He's in, what we affectionately call the Great American Small Park there in Cincinnati. Balls just fly out of there. And then I gave you the numbers for Luke Weaver earlier. Righties are just mashing him. So, and JD this year, the same thing. His splits against right-handed pitching this year, 419 WOBA, a ridiculous 389 ISO against right-handed pitching. So, yeah, all aboard the JD Martinez train. You're getting it at almost 3-1 odds to homer. Sign me up there.
Yeah, I like that. He's a guy that's really picked it up for the Dodgers after kind of starting a little slow for them. So, yeah, I like that call. And it helps my Dodgers Reds over for that game. So I'll take it. I'm going with Matt Olson here for the Braves, facing Carlos Carrasco, who's got a 5.74 ERA this year, even worse FIP, 137 whip this year, and a career low strikeout rate. So this is a good matchup for the Braves here, who have one of the better offenses against right-handed pitching, and Olson's a big part of that. He's been a little boomer bust, but his homers have been there. 15 of his 17 homers this year have been against right-handed pitching. So he's got that going for him. He's got really good stats, BVP stats over his career against Carrasco, hitting 417 with 2 homers in that matchup. So I like that. And he's got better numbers against righties this year overall, better slugging percentage, OPS than against lefties. So this is a good matchup for him to go over the fence here, hit a home run. I like the number plus 275 on DraftKings. I got it at, but you could shop around. Maybe there's a better number there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like that one. I think that, so I like that in the sense that a lot of people are on it. James Grande does his home run tweet out there each day. And Olson was picked a few times by people. And, last time we did a DFS show and Carrasco's on the mound, I was against the Phillies. And I actually liked Carrasco on that slate because of how he dominates left-handed hitters. So that's my lone worry with Matt Olson was that Carrasco this year has been really good against lefties. Righties are hammering him. Lefties, they're hitting him like 220, I think, against him. But, how long is that going to last for? Carrasco's not a guy that is historically just dominated something like that in a long time. So there's few better power hitters in baseball than Matt Olson. So I don't mind the pick. I like the odds to get a home run there as well. My only hesitation is just the split numbers this year for Carlos Carrasco against lefties. He's been pretty good against them.
Huh. Yeah, that is one I did not see before I made that pick. I was kind of going off of Olson's stats there, but I just maybe as the broad picture, just seeing Carrasco struggle
against
times,
lefties this year. Carlos Carrasco, 226 average, a 302 slug, a 641 OPS against. So righties are the one doing the damage. Almost a 530 slugging and 860 OPS. But again, how long is those splits going to hold for? Right? Could certainly flip on its head. And next thing last year he gave up 9 of his 17 homers to lefties. So. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is just a different, a completely flip from last year. Weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are our home run calls. We're on a bunch of picks tonight. You can watch John and James, as I mentioned, coming up at 5:00 Eastern. Jon Impemba, James Grande on the Quick Pitch MLB DFS live show here on Bettor Sports Network. That's from 5 to 6. And then at 6, you can watch a replay of this show if you want to get some last-minute picks in, if you missed any of this show, or want to get some thoughts, deeper thoughts and some picks after you after you watch and set some DFS lineups, you can do that. And then at 7 o'clock Eastern, we get the Tour Junkies breaking down all the details of that PGA Tour and Live merger. Very interesting there. As we mentioned, we got an article up on the site by John himself that broke down some of the impact of that merger. So go check that out as well. And if you haven't already, again, go get the All-Pro package, Alarm 50 for 50% off your first 6 months and a free trial there for Fantasy Alarm's DFS playbooks and DFS tools to all sports. You know, the PGA DFS playbook coming out, and we'll definitely have an NBA DFS playbook by James Grande for tomorrow's NBA Finals Game 3 and NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll definitely have stuff for that. So definitely get into that before you set those DFS lineups and watch John and James. Thanks for joining me tonight, John. What's your kind of your under the radar DFS play for those tuning in next? You want to throw one out to the people, or you want to make them wait?
Listen, I like Freddie Peralta tonight. I gave you his betting odds, but he's $7,700 I think on DraftKings tonight, right in that mid tier, and he's around other pitchers I think people are going to go to. And home splits are in his favor. Baltimore is not hitting really well right now against right-handed pitching. I think he goes overlooked at low rostership, and I'm going to have him in some lineups tonight.
Love it. Yeah, and hammer his strikeout prop as well. So
over 5.5, baby. Let's do it.
All right, we'll go check John and James out at 5 o'clock Eastern, talking more DFS plays. Tomorrow we'll be back at 4 o'clock Eastern here on Bettor Sports Network, Fantasy Alarm, the Bettor Sports Betting Show. It'll be me and Howard Bender back with you, talking some MLB picks, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup, everything. So appreciate everyone watching, tuning in today, and good luck with all your bets.
Bettor Sports Betting.